Hi guys, welcome to Professor Beatrice Burugo Talk Show. If it is your first time viewing this channel, subscribe, like and share with others. Today we are talking about depression, which has been a mental illness that has been a challenge to many in our country and even in the world. What is depression? Depression is actually a mental illness that comes step by step by people getting challenges in life and not being able to cope with them, and they are so persistent until at one time one is not able to function normally in terms of emotions. People become very emotive or they become very angry, and this one is irrespective of age. Depression can be among children. It can go to teenagers and adolescents, cutting across the older adults. And so therefore this is a mental illness that has been for all the ages. It also affects the behavior of a person. So when you look at a person's behavior, it is affected. And I will be telling you some of the signs that you need to observe to check whether your child or even the adults, they are getting depressive symptoms. It goes also to the cognitive, where it affects the thinking, and people are filled up with negative thoughts about life, and it reaches a stage when even somebody wants to commit suicide or even to take away their lives, or even to take away the lives of others. It is not a wonder that we've been experiencing such in the country, and basically our country, Kenya, has been rated number 6 among the African countries for having people with depression. And I want to make you understand that you cannot really tell one is depressed until you observe the behavior. The behavior of this person will change in terms of the sleep patterns. And I want to be very clear that the sleep patterns must persist for more than a month. So you cannot observe a behavior like lack of sleep or too much sleeping and disturbed sleep patterns. You can tell that somebody, if it has been persistent for more than 1 month, then you can say that this person is having depression. And you cannot judge only by looking at the sleep patterns. You also look at the eating patterns. Maybe somebody was okay eating well, but they tend to develop some unexplained appetite. They eat a lot of food, and especially the teenagers, they sometimes also lack to eat, the loss of appetite. And so they can be on the two extremes, and this basically, if it persists again for more than 1 month, then it qualifies to become depression. So I actually want to bring out these types of depression that you need to watch out and how they develop. So basically, depression is actually a severe mental illness that emanates from stress. Stress, we know, is normal in life because we experience so many things in life that can give us stressive episodes. Sometimes you feel you are so challenged in life. But now if that persists until it goes to stress level 1 and there is no intervention, it goes to stress level 2, no intervention, goes to stress level number 3, no intervention. When I talk of intervention, maybe is the counseling support or you're given some psychosocial support, then it goes to level 4. So when depression reaches to level number 4, that is when it qualifies to become depression, because somebody has been in a very stressful situation, maybe that emanates from many sources that I will be discussing today. And so it turns out to be a thing that persists, and it is really torturing the mind and even the emotion. The other thing that causes depression is trauma. A trauma is any event that has been negative, that has persisted in somebody's life, and as a result has caused stress in life. One of the examples that we have is losing a loved one. It depends to lose a father, a mother, a child, a close relative, a friend, or any significant other in our lives. So this kind of trauma really stays if it is not done well to take somebody through the stages of bereavement, which are usually 5. Then denial comes and somebody starts bargaining with God and becoming angry. Why did it happen? And if these people are in denial for so long and there is no acceptance or any support that is given by a counselor, a psychologist, a psychotherapist, then it really affects the thinking of this person. It affects the behavior, and basically they live in denial. And this can persist and cause depression that may need treatment. The other cause of depression is poverty. Poverty, I usually say that no one is born, you can be born poor, but nobody is to live with poverty forever. It requires the change of life. And therefore there are some persistent poverty that really comes, and some people really ask, is it a curse? It is not. So basically poverty can make people think for long when they miss school, when they miss food, when they miss many things and basic needs in their life. It can also cause depression. The other cause of depression, as I said, is for the mothers who are expecting children and they are not supported, or they are in toxic relationships with their spouses and they cannot really cope with the situation. Such mothers, what happens is during the birth, they really experience what we call the prepartum depression. Before the delivery, there is also during the delivery. Remember, this is a new experience, especially for the young mothers who are getting their firstborns and they don't know what to expect. The postpartum is after they have delivered. How do I bring the food on the table for this child? My body, remember I talked about the self-identity. Maybe it is their first time to get the child and they are really worried about the body type, the body size. Maybe I have changed, maybe I will not be likable. There are those things that come and they bring negative thoughts that can affect somebody's way of living. The eating patterns may also change. The sleeping patterns may also change because a newborn has come, and with the newborns, the mother has to adjust to the newborn's way of life. And so some young mothers are not able to cope with the newborn, and this can bring depression. The other cause of depression is there are too many expectations in life, especially for the young adults or even for the school-going children. The academic pressure may be too much and it persists, and this now becomes worse depending on the parenting style. Some parents, they put too much expectations on their children, and maybe the ability of this learner cannot cope. Like you are dealing with a Form 1 who is getting a D or a C when they have done their very best in high school. And as a parent, you put, I want you to bring a grade A or a grade B plus. This learner is likely to experience a lot of pressure from the parents, from the friends, and basically they may not cope. As a result, you'll find they start deteriorating step by step. They perform poorly in school, and then it can also bring this mental breakdown we are talking about. A lot of expectations. Therefore, my advice to parents, let us understand the ability of our learners when they are in school. Let us just give them ample time to deliver according to their abilities, according to their interests, according to their passion. If they are not very smart in class, they may be out very good in co-curricular activities. And this is very important for the parents to understand the level, the cognitive level of their learners, because too much pressure again and a lot of expectations, it can bring an issue. The other thing that can bring depression is actually in marriages, when there is unhealthy relationships, and somebody has been in marriage for like a long time, and then the marriage is not working, and because of societal expectations, religious expectations, the spouse or the mother or even the father remains in this marriage not because of companionship, not because of love, not because of support for one another, but because of their fearing the perception of the society if they walk out of this relationship. And so somebody can get depression in marriage because they want their children to be comfortable, or for people to say that this is a good family, and in the direct or the real situation is that they are under pressure to really be in this marriage for it to work. And so this can cause depression. Another thing that brings depression is age, and especially the elderly adults. They are more likely to experience, actually the rise, than young people to experience the mental illness we are calling depression because of their age. As people age, their emotions change, their behavior change, because the body is becoming weak also, the body is growing and aging, and so you find that's where we now advise the gerontological counselors to come in to address issues of these old adults. They become irritable, very angry, and so if you are living with a grandparent or you are living with an aged person, it is important to understand that age is taking up on them, and therefore they require a lot of support at this age. When we talk about these causes and many more, then what can we do to prevent depression? Depression can be prevented in many ways. One, if it is clinical, like I said, it is severe, it requires drugs, it requires antidepressants. And how do you get these drugs? It is not over the counter. You have to really go to a psychiatry or to a mental health practitioner in an hospital, and they prescribe antidepressants. There are many types of antidepressants that are administered to treat depression. It is important that we note that depression will persist and become worse if it is diagnosed and the people just pretend that it is not there. So it is always important to visit a doctor and a specialist for that matter to be able to prescribe the right medicine. And therefore, it is highly discouraged that people buy medicine over the counter because it can worsen the situation. The other thing how we can treat depression is through the models that we use in counseling. There is a model we call the cognitive behavioral therapy. This is a therapy whereby somebody who has been having very negative thoughts in life, and some people, they will just talk of going for a long distance. Some people will talk of, I think I feel like I am worthless in life. These are the statements you look for in a child or in a young person or in an old person. Some will say, I am feeling like traveling very, very far. Some people will experience very bad dreams, very bad indeed. And these are dreams where they are dreaming with the paraphrenias like snakes, or even some people running after them, wanting to kill them. They dream with the very funny groups that are running after them. These are not signs that we should ignore, especially if they persist for more than a month. They require a counselor to be able to talk to them on how they can change of their way of thinking negatively about issues in life. If there are issues in marriage, if there are issues in school, if there are issues in relationships, it is always good to have a positive thinking. And I want to really tell our young adults, in a relationship, if it becomes sour, if it becomes unhealthy, it is important to accept and break it rather than live in a depressive relationship that can lead to mental breakdown or even lead to suicide. Some people will have ideations, suicidal ideations, and therefore they need to be helped. It is not good to assume these statements when somebody tells you, I feel like committing suicide. I have a case that I can share. When I was a high school teacher one time and a counseling teacher, where one of the teenagers actually had suicidal thoughts because they had been left, or they had been, what do we call it? They had been left by their loved ones or their boyfriends. And therefore, those they remained in those depressive or stressful stages in life until they felt like committing suicide. So we can use the CBT or the cognitive behavioral therapy. Another therapy that we use is the interpersonal therapy, where people should interact. One of the signs of depression is wanting to be alone. You don't want to be with others. You separate with others. You want to really do your things alone, and yet you used to mingle with others. So we need to be very careful when people isolate themselves, and that was not their behavior before. So when they are lonely, you really need to find out what is the cause, how can I support you, how can I intervene, and you bring up the relationship back to normal. At this juncture, this talk will continue in this YouTube talk show, and therefore I want to encourage us to subscribe. Those who have not subscribed to this YouTube, you also like and even share with others. And for now, until next time, bye bye.